Recently, I've been reflecting on my own personal health and wellness journey, and while I was doing that, I thought it might be a bit of fun to share that journey with you all. In August last year, I hit a milestone birthday, which got me really thinking about my life. That I looked at the things that I was currently doing at that time and tried to identify what was working well and what wasn't. So, one of the great things that came out of that time and space when I was doing that reflective practice was the fact that I was trying to continue to uplevel my life and improve my life, and specifically my health and wellness. That was my main focus for myself. Now, I've always used a particular card spread when working with my health and wellness, and it's one that I've continued to adapt over the years and improve on as I've worked with it. Now, I'll share that with you in a moment. I'll also share parts of my personal journey along the way. Now, that to me is really exciting, but I will be a little bit selective in what I do and don't share because I really appreciate my own privacy. But to really give you an understanding of how I use this across a 12-month period and beyond, and how it really impacts my health and wellness and how I feel it supports it, I think it's important that you do see real life interactions with the cards and the outcomes and the way that I use it and the tools and the strategies that I link into so that you can see how it works for somebody else. And you may choose to take some of that and use it in your own practices if it resonates with you. Now, just an honest disclaimer here, I won't be showing you all of that in this video today. This is a series that I'm creating, and that series will be created over the next 12 months. And we will deep dive and delve into those different aspects of this spread as we travel across the 12 months. And hopefully, as I do that and I show you the tools and the strategies that I'm using and the card decks and explain why I've made the choice with that deck and how it fits into my personal system of working with this spread and up leveling my health and wellness over 2023, that might help you to find a way that resonates with you so that you can do something similar or find a practice that fits with you. So this is my own personal practice. It is what I do. It may resonate with you. Parts of it may resonate with you. Parts of it may not. But what I really want you to do is I want you to take whatever does and leave behind what doesn't. This is not going to work for everybody, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm showing you what I do, and I hope that that gives you some kind of ability to really link into yourself and lean into your own soul and find your own way to seek sanctuary to be able to move forward and support the life that you wish to live. So instead, what I will do today is I will start by sharing the journey and letting you know how I've set myself up for success at the beginning of 2023. We're already partway through January, so I've already done a lot of this preliminary setup. So I will explain to you what I've done and what I've put into place and how I see this unfolding over the next 12 months so that you can potentially see how the journey is hoping to be able to evolve. And then what I will do is I will build upon the journey in future videos as they continue to ever grow and expand and change, and all those things that happens when you're living and breathing with something that is continuous and never ending. It will grow and develop, and things will drop off that I will no longer do, and other practices and ways of doing things will come to the forefront, and they will be what I will link into if that's what I feel I need to do. So I think the organic nature of this, that as we go along, things will change, things will remain the same based on the spread that I will use across the year, but the way that I will interact with that and the way that it'll interact with me and the way that the messages that come through will support the life that I wish to live and the upleveling of my health and wellness, they will be instrumental in making sure that this journey is one that by the time I get to the end of 2023, it will be nothing like I imagined it being at the beginning of 2023 where we are now. Because even though I wish to uplevel my health and wellness, by using this, it just brings in so many different levels and so many different things that I can't even envisage at this point in my life, but I know that they're going to be fantastic, and I know that they're really going to support me to be able to get the best outcome for my highest good. So I'm really looking forward to the journey and seeing at the end of 2023 how this spread has helped me enhance my health and wellness and where it's taken me and how much it's uplifted me. I'm really excited about that. As I said, I do have a plan, and I will start with that plan, but I will definitely follow through where the paths lead me and follow them through and learn to really adapt. And I think that's the beauty of life. We get to make choices every day. Nothing is static. We can change anything. If something's not working, we can, drop it off, forget about it. If something is working, we can really embrace that and bring more of it into our practice. And that's what I intend to do with this spread as a basis for my year of health and wellness. And I really hope that as I journey along and I share that with you, that you will enjoy it too. Before I jump in and share the basis for my wellness journey and where I'm currently at, I wanted to give you a preview of a document I created for myself. This is what I used to set myself up for success when I was working through the process I'm about to explain to you. So I will have it as a downloadable document for you and put the link in the comments as well as the description in case any of you would like to follow along. So this is the card spread I use throughout the journey, and this is just the 8 different dimensions that I work with. And here I just have a space for all of the different aspects of well-being that I work with, so I can write down the goals and things that I come up with to be able to move forward. And here I just put the tarot and oracle decks that I want to use that I think will be great for the purpose of doing this journey and working my way through it. And this is just so you know what's coming up in future episodes. Now, if this process resonates with you or you see it being able to add value to your own life and your own wellness journey, please press the like button so that I know that you're enjoying it. And if you'd like to stick around and see how this journey progresses throughout 2023, please make sure that you've subscribed. I'd really love to have you here as part of this process. So in August last year, when I turned 50, I pulled out this, what I call my Finding Sanctuary spread. It's one that I've used for a lot of years, and it has me looking at holistically my whole health and wellness, and that enables me to be able to have a really solid foundation to work with. So as you can see here, it's designed in a circle because everything is interconnected, and each part, even though we can look at them individually, each part, whether it's functioning in a positive manner or whether it's struggling, each part actually impacts on every other part of the sections in the wheel, the different spokes. So therefore, to be able to get a balanced, continuous flow and ride, we need to have all of them working together and in harmony. Whereas if we had one of the different aspects that were a little bit on the negative side, or we were struggling in them, then that would become more clunky and more heavy. So therefore the flow would begin to become off balanced, and we wouldn't be able to wheel our way through life, and for me particularly, wheel my way through 2023 in a productive manner. So this is the spread that I am looking at. And in a moment, I will show you what I did in August 2022 when I looked at my life and kind of put a line down the middle and said, okay, I've turned 50. So that is the first half of my life I've just enjoyed. And now I have the second half of my life to look forward to. And how do I really want that to be? And I use this spread to be able to do that. So as you can see, there are 8 different dimensions here. And the first dimension that we have is emotional well-being. Now, for me, this is the catalyst to being able to keep this whole wellness wheel functioning really well and keeping it balanced, because even though all of the different areas connect and interplay with each other and can affect the way that they're being handled and the way they're affecting your life and the energy around those spaces, emotional well-being is an area that if you're not emotionally well, you're probably not going to be able to flourish in any other area. And that to me is the clinch pin. We need to start with being emotionally well and looking after our mental health so that we can begin to flourish in the other areas, and we can begin the journey of spiraling around and rotating around to be able to get that interconnectedness, to be able to bring a balance to our lives. So for me, emotional well-being is the first aspect that I look at when I'm using this spread. And even though all of the aspects are really important, this one for me, if I don't get it right, it's going to have the biggest impact on the rest of the areas in my life holistically, and the way that I can actually deal with them and manage with them. So this one to me is really, really important, and the one I focus on the most, and the one that I really, really spend a lot of time trying to get right so that the rest of it can all slot into place and really, really fit together and get that what's the word I'm looking for? So it can fit in together and really get that balance so that you can keep moving forward. So the next area we have is social well-being. Now, I spent a lot of years working in this space, making sure that people have connections to the wider community. It is an area, especially if you're an introvert like me, it is an area where you, when you're younger, you might think that you don't need to have a lot of social contact and you might prefer to be at home and on your own, and that's absolutely fine. But what I've learned in my personal journey is that the older we get, the opportunity to create and maintain the social contacts that we have in our life can actually start to shrink. And unfortunately, as we get older and we reach the latter half of our life, through no fault of our own, but just through life's journey, we've chosen to maybe spend time with ourselves at home because work's been really challenging and we need to distinguish, that space from work to home. So there's been different times in our life where we may have chosen to drop back from social contact. But as we get older and we start to transition out of those spaces like work and community groups and all of those things, and we become a little bit more centered at home potentially, the social well-being becomes a really huge aspect that we begin to look at. So to me, after emotional well-being, social well-being is a massive factor that I look at, not only to make sure that I'm okay in this time and space, but as I progress through my life, I've managed to lay the foundation, and to not only lay the foundation, but look after that foundation to be able to make sure that I do have robust connections. I don't have to have a massive amount of them, but I do need to have robust connections. I do need to have people that I can link in with, and my social well-being really needs to be really looked after. That's something that's really important to me. So next we have intellectual well-being, and this is an area of life that for me is a lifelong journey. It's a journey about continuously upskilling. It's a journey about looking for new things to learn, new things that interest me, new things that light up my life and my brain and really get me thinking and engaged in what's happening around me. So it may be formal study for some of us, it may be informal study, it may be actually going and learning a new skill, it might be sharing a skill, it might be doing puzzles, that kind of thing. So intellectual well-being is really important to keep your brain active and healthy, and to be able to support you in growing older and the journey that you are continuing on each step of your way. So after that, we have environmental well-being. So this is very different for a lot of people, and I know in my life it's been a very different focus depending on what stage I am in. So environmental well-being has been the reduce, reuse, recycle stage of my life. It has been looking after the environment that I live in. It has been getting in touch with nature and really appreciating Mother Earth and everything that she gives us, and providing like the food and things that we have. It's about getting out and enjoying nature. But for me, environmental well-being is also down to the things that you don't necessarily see. So it's making sure that the energy of the space that I'm in is aligned with the way that I wish to feel, and making sure that it is productive and safe for my needs. So that comes under environmental well-being for me. We also have the other area that I look at when I'm doing a holistic health and wellness spread, and that is occupational well-being. So occupational well-being, it doesn't matter whether you're in an occupation and employed or not. Occupational well-being to me is all about the things that you do on a daily basis to be able to provide for yourself. So in most cases, that may mean that we're going out to work and we're doing a job that pays us money to be able to provide for us whatever we need. Occupational well-being in other ways might be that, if like when I was a stay-at-home mum, occupational well-being was the heart of my home and making sure that was supportive of my needs. So that to me, it's the main thing that I did with my day in a working way to be able to support whatever it was that I was at. So as I said, sometimes it was a workplace, sometimes it was my own home, because that's where I was productive and doing the most of my work. So financial well-being, I think a lot of us are really familiar with financial well-being and the impact that it can have. So this space to me is about the choices that I make financially, the way that I manage my money. It's how that impacts on my life, and to me it's not necessarily about how much money I have, but how I actually work with it and how I approach money. That's a really big aspect of this spoke in the wheel for me. So next we have physical well-being. So obviously that's my physical body. As as it will be for all of us. So that's how I take care of myself, how I respect it. It's about the space of what my body can do for me and what I expect my body to do for me. So it's really about looking after the body that I have, because it is the only one that I will have in this life. And the last aspect I have here is spiritual well-being. So for me, this is a really crucial one as well, as they all are. They absolutely all are. But spiritual well-being for me links very much into emotional well-being. If I'm not spiritually well or emotionally well, I really struggle with being able to maintain the other areas in my life and to be able to create a balance. So this Finding Sanctuary spread, as I call it, is one that I've used for a number of years, and I love the way that it gets me looking at the 8 different dimensions, aspects, spokes, areas, whatever you'd like to call it, of health and wellness. And it really brings a holistic approach to it for me personally. So now I'd like to take you back to August 2022, and it actually laid the foundation for my Wheeling My Way to Wellness in 2023. As I said, pivotal moment, turned 50. So I created this 50 Celebrating the Way Forward wheel, and it has the 8 different spokes around it. And what I did is I got some pen and paper and I really reflected on each area and what it is that what were my goals in these areas. So I nutted it out and came up with the following, which I'll step you through in a moment. But what I've come up with and I'm about to show you is the absolute foundation for me for 2023. It is what everything else is going to pivot off as we work our way through, and I explain to you how I use it in further videos. So we'll start with emotional well-being. That is the first point of call for me whenever I'm looking at the Finding Sanctuary spread and a holistic view of my health and wellness. So with emotional well-being, what that does for me is it's about acknowledging and accepting my feelings. It's about managing my emotions in a productive manner, and it's about embracing a positive attitude. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but that has been challenging for me over the first half of my life, and I'm hoping that as I have a more balanced attitude and energy and move into the second half of my life, I'm really hoping that I can reach those goals on a more consistent manner. So after emotional well-being, some of the goals that I have for social well-being, so it's about having healthy relationships, positive connections, and supportive interactions. So again, in the first half of my life, I was exposed to different schools, different workplaces. I didn't always have the ability to remove myself from those situations, but now in this space in my life, I have a greater control over those things, which means that I can make sure that the relationships that I'm in are healthy and the ones that I'm surrounded by are a lot more healthy and more productive for me, that the connections that I have are more positive. I don't have to potentially mix with people or connect with people that don't bring the energy and the vibe that I want into my life. I have a better understanding of what it is that I want and how I can achieve that, and a better understanding of how I can create positive connections and remove negative ones from my life. So that's going to really help me in this social well-being space. So the next area that I looked at are my goals for intellectual well-being. So I want to elevate my thinking in the second half of my life. I want to expand my knowledge and skills, and I want to use discernment, and I want to be creative and really be curious in my life. So that's what I put in my intellectual well-being space, and that's what I'm really looking forward to supporting and enhancing in that area. So I hope you're actually finding this interesting, and I hope that I presented it in a way that you could look at this spread and you could look at the different areas in your own life if it resonates with you and you would like to, and you can write some of the goals down that really resonate with you, and they could be completely different to mine, and that's absolutely okay. This is a space for you to really link in for what's important to you, and you don't ever have to share this with anyone. So the most important thing is to get the most out of this is to make sure that it resonates with you and it is truly what's at your heart. It's truly what you desire, so that you can actually work with it in a way that makes sense and actually can up-level your life. So the next one we have here is environmental well-being. So that for me is about positive enhancing environments, harmony with nature, and being energetically aligned spaces. That is really important to me. I don't know how many times I've walked into a room and it feels like I could cut the air with a knife. I don't want to be in those spaces anymore. I don't want to be in those environments anymore. So having energetically aligned spaces to the way I want to feel is really, really important. And obviously that will support the positive enhancing environments and the harmony that I'm really after in my environment. So we go on and we have occupational well-being. So this is a space that I kind of, before I turned 50, I stepped out of paid employment, and I've recently stepped back into paid employment. So for me, it's about maintaining a work-life balance and enjoying the job and making meaningful contributions. That's what I really want my work and what I give out in that space, in my occupation. I really want it to be meaningful. I really want it to add value to somebody else's life, and I really want it to be a joy. And I definitely want a work-life balance, which I'm pretty sure I've got where I am now, which is really awesome. Um, but I want the contributions that I make in my workspace to be aligned with my values and my beliefs and the principles that I hold. That is really important. I have, over the years, especially when I was much younger, I've worked in workspaces and occupations that really didn't align with how I felt. So being in a space now that does is really incredible. So the next one we have is financial well-being. So for me, I looked at my life's journey, and I looked at where I am and how I want to carry myself financially in the second half of my life. So that's about living within my means. It's about growing my income streams where I can, and it's about giving back. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to doing, is giving back. I have done it throughout my life, but not to the way that my soul really wanted me to. There's been times where I've really wanted to give, and because of my limiting beliefs, I've kind of held back on doing that, because I felt that by giving, I could be restricting what I had in my life. And I absolutely know that that's not the case. By giving, you actually open yourself up to receiving. So I'm definitely looking in the second half of my life to be able to grow my income streams and to be able to give more. And that's only going to help with receiving. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we also have physical well-being. So physical well-being in my second half of my life, I see that as being proactive in treating my body with care and respect at all times. I haven't necessarily done that up till now. I've kind of taken my body for granted, and I've made choices that have affected my body, that haven't been the most productive or the best for my highest good. So my physical well-being is a space that I really want to link into, and I want to be proactive. I want to treat myself with care, my physical body with care and respect at all times. And for me, that's really about honing down into the kind of foods that I feed it, the expectations that I have of my body and what it can and can't do, and being able to nurture it so that it can do things for longer, and it's able to be and do the things that it needs to do for my life so that I can carry forward. So it's about making sure that I go and get my eyes tested so that things are okay. It's about managing any illnesses that I may have. It's about, watching what kind of food that I put in, and it's about keeping myself mobile so that, things are getting moved and used, and all those kind of things, so that it can help with longevity of me being able to keep my independence in my body as best as it can be. So, in my spiritual well-being, I want my space to be guided by my values. I want it to be guided by my beliefs and my principles. I want to live my life full of meaning and purpose, and I think that's really important. So, obviously, well, not obviously, but years ago when I had young children, I was very much focused on them, but now I want to focus on my meaning and my purpose and what it is that I'm here to do. So I'm exploring that and learning more about what my purpose is and how I can live that out to the best way that I can. But that's definitely being guided by my values and my beliefs and my principles, and that really helps support my spiritual well-being. When I'm carrying myself in a way and making decisions and doing things and living within my belief systems and with my own values and my principles, it enhances my whole experience. It supports my mental health. So that's really where I want to be in the second half of my life, rather than sometimes in my younger life I may have compromised my values or push my beliefs and that aside. I really want to embrace them in the second half of my life, and that's what this spread will do. So there you have it, guys. That is the Finding Sanctuary spread that I use, and how I've managed to create a foundation for the second half of my life, which I will be working with as I wheel my way to wellness in 2023. So as you can see, I've looked at all the different areas. I've worked out what's important to me moving forward in the time frame that I've given. So obviously this is the second half of my life, but if you were doing it for a week, a month, a year, you would write whatever your goals are, like I have here, so that you can see what the next stage is from this is actually writing an intention. So what I do with this is I create this, and this is the basis for the whole year. And then every fortnight, I create an intention. And I do that many different ways. And I bring in, I roll dice to be able to choose which aspect I might be looking at. I use tarot cards with this spread. I use oracle cards with this spread so that I can delve in deeper and really work with it. But I'll be discussing those in the future videos when I do part 2 and beyond. So I hope that you've enjoyed having a look at this, and I hope that if it resonates with you, you may take some of what I've said and try and set out your own goals within these areas for maybe the next year, so you can follow along and we can do this together. And then when we have the next video, I'll be able to show you what my next step was and how I went about that, and my own personal journey, so that you might be able to springboard off that and work with your own personal journey, which would be absolutely fantastic. What I will do is I will leave a link down below to the basis of this spread with the image that you see here, obviously without the celebrating the way forward in the middle, and without my information around it, but it will have the 8 different aspects, dimensions of wellness and health, so that you can sit down if you choose and download that document and then put your own goals and things in so that you can follow along. Now, I found this an instrumental way for me to be able to focus in on my mental health, my holistic health overall, to be able to find ways that I can link into it, that I can up level it, and I can support it. And I find it's really fun when I'm using divination and I'm using oracle and tarot cards and I'm using dice and I'm using pendulums and I'm doing all these other things with this spread. I find it's a lot of fun, which really makes it something that I want to keep coming back to. And obviously, if I want to keep coming back to it, I'm continuously focusing on it. So this is the way that I will holistically roll my Wheel of Wellness through 2023. And I hope that you've enjoyed it. And I will have the next video coming up soon. So watch out for that. Thanks, guys. Bye.